Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. I think that a lot of times when we homeschool moms talk to other people about homeschooling, or sometimes even when bloggers like myself write about homeschooling, we tend to make everything sound like it goes perfectly every day. We make it sound like our kids are happy and they're always loving being homeschooled and they never give any sorts of issues. But I'm here to tell you today that that is not the case. So what I'm going to address are when you have kids who tell you, or who at least act as if they hate being homeschooled. Now, first of all, I just want to point out that there are some kids who seem to do perfectly well at homeschool, but have their grumpy days where they might not feel like doing their schoolwork, so they might stomp around the house, saying about how they hate school and they hate being homeschooled. But, kids get like that, and I really wouldn't worry too much about that. There are other kids, though, that I have heard of who truly just, they despise it. They might not say it to their parents, but they're completely uncooperative. And I know that a lot of times the initial reaction of parents is just to throw in the towel thinking that they failed somehow. And what I'm going to tell you is that you've got to remember that there are some kids who are just really strong-willed. They don't like to be told what to do. They don't like having specific things. They just pretty much want things to go their way. And a lot of times it's those kids who have issues with homeschooling. And I'll tell you that if you send them to school, chances are they're definitely going to have the same issues there as well. So what I'm going to talk to you about today are just some questions to ask yourself if you're going through something like this with one of your kids. The first one that you want to ask yourself is, am I providing ample opportunity for my child to explore and pursue friendships? Sometimes I think that we look at homeschooling as, it gives us like a really good routine, which is a good thing. But if you get too strict with it and try to block out like your child's entire day, that's going to be an issue. Your kids need time to just do the things that they want to do. They need time to be able to just go outside, make friends, just to be able to be themselves. So homeschooling and structure, they go hand in hand, and that really works well for a lot of kids. But what you need to remember is that kids need time to just be who they are without you telling them specific things that they have to do. So ask yourself that. Am I giving my child that opportunity? The second question is, am I too focused on imitating school? I think that's the default that a lot of us go to when we start homeschooling. Most of us who homeschool our kids now were in school ourselves. Even if it wasn't public school, it was a private school, and a lot of the private schools also follow the public school model. So since that's all we know, that's what we do with our kids. We just take what we know from what we went through in school and we do it at home. And it doesn't work. The reason that public schools do things the way that they do is because they have 30 kids in the classroom and they have very limited resources for all of those kids. And to be honest, I think that a lot of what the schools are doing nowadays is not even about education at all. It's just kind of about training the masses. So that's my 2 cents on school. So what you really want to remember is that with homeschooling, you have the opportunity to tailor your curriculum to meet your child's needs. You can fit your homeschooling lessons to your child's learning style. There are so many different ways to homeschool. So just if you find yourself just really trying so hard to be that school teacher, remember that you're a mom first. You've got to keep the home in your homeschool. If you take the home out of it, it's not going to work. And if you find yourself being more focused on checking things off for the day than you are in actually doing fun things with your kids, of course, you know what? Your kids aren't going to enjoy what they're doing. So another question is, am I guilty of homeschool legalism? That's actually a term that I've just come up myself. I don't know if anyone else has ever used it, but I was just thinking of this the other day because there are people who they're the box checkers, the ones that I just talked about before. They're just completely consumed with finishing out the curriculum and doing exactly what it says on their lesson plan every day, and they really have a hard time deviating from that schedule every day. And that can get really stressful for your child, because in the midst of homeschooling, life happens. You have to be able to give yourself the chance to just let those things happen and go with the flow. That is how you're going to be successful, not in worrying more about your curriculum than in your family life. So just keep that in mind also. And the last thing is, how is my attitude while we're homeschooling? You as the mom can really set the tone for your homeschool day. Just think to yourself, how often am I smiling while we're homeschooling? Because I am not coming to you today saying that I am this perfect mom who always, smiles and is happy during homeschooling, because I'm human. And yeah, there are days and times that I get frustrated. If the kids maybe aren't listening that day, or maybe if I have a headache. And the mom's attitude really sets the tone for the entire homeschool. So if you're walking around acting as if you'd much rather be doing something else, your child is going to feel the same way. So I just want you to keep these things in mind. Don't be discouraged if you have a child who doesn't like homeschooling. Try to incorporate some of the things that I've talked about today. And I just want to really reiterate to you that school is probably not going to be any better for your child. I know this from experience. I did send my kids back to school once, so I can tell you the truth for that. So anyway, I hope you have a great weekend.